You know, I'm a lifelong resident of Newhallville, and
Right.
just some concerns we have within the city is, you know, with the development of Winchester Repeating Arms, with the development of Church Street South, you know, with the ideologies that us, the residents of New Haven, feel that there is a big renaissance within New Haven, with the downtown area getting redeveloped by a lot of developers coming in, you know, to attract people to New Haven, you know, make it a destination city. And with the lack of corporations or the lack of companies within the communities, what would you like to bring? What would you like to see done for the inner city communities?
So this is a great question because it addresses two issues. One is this huge potential that New Haven has. There's all kinds of people investing in New Haven, all kinds of money coming into New Haven, and that's a great thing for New Haven, right? But the problem is we got to make sure that it's not just a certain group of New Haven residents that benefit from that investment. You talked particularly about some construction or potential construction projects at Church Street South, and then of course a lot of the Science Park development here that's on top of Newhall practically, and making sure that it doesn't have a negative impact on Newhallville, but more importantly, it has a positive impact on the folks that are living here. As I go around the neighborhood, going door to door, talking with folks, I hear pretty much one consistent message: it's jobs, jobs, jobs.
Within the city.
Yeah, and that means that, and you look at the unemployment rates, the city already has a higher unemployment rate than the national average, and of course in Newhallville, it's even higher. We got to, as a city, make sure that New Haven residents are getting these jobs. And there's a couple of areas that I think are important for New Haven residents to capture these growing jobs. You've got a lot of healthcare industry jobs that are growing. And at the hospital, there's a lot of folks, for example, from the Hill. I was there the other day, visiting a friend of mine, and was just talking with some of the lab techs, and there's a bunch of folks from the Hill that were working at the hospital. That industry is growing, and it's not just PhD jobs, but we want to make sure New Haven residents get those jobs. New Haven Works is a good start to that, I believe, because we're giving New Haven residents who are interested in these types of jobs first shot at the jobs. But we got to do more as a city. We got to encourage development, but then things like, for example, Minority Business Enterprise Program and Small Business Enterprise Program, where you, with projects that the city has some skin in the game, right? We either have generally some development agreement that we'll have with someone investing in New Haven. We need to make sure that part of that development agreement includes a certain percentage of employment for New Haven residents, a certain percentage of employment for businesses that are New Haven businesses. And I think that, particularly with construction, we've got to make sure that it's not just these short-term jobs, which is why the Minority Business Enterprise Program is so important. If you have someone that is starting a contracting business, starting a business, and is hiring folks that are from places like Newhallville, they've got to have a long-term contractual company rather than in agreements with folks like Carter Wynn Stanley, rather than just, you know, I've got to reach however many hours of minority hires, and so I'm just going to reach that and be done with it. Problem with the Minority Business Enterprise Program is it's not audited as well as it could be, and so they're not actually reaching their hours sometimes, but they say they are, and we don't check on them. So I think, particularly with the construction industry and small business industry, we talk a lot about job creation, and we don't, I don't think, adequately address a certain population, which is the prison reentry population as well. These folks have done their time, and they deserve a second chance, and a lot of times they come back to New Haven and they're out of luck because it's really difficult to get a job. Supporting small businesses, supporting minority business enterprise programs with the construction contracts is one way to step in that direction.
Okay, that sounds good. And another question: what is your passion for politics? What made you engage yourself into politics?
Stuff like this. I love people, and what drives me and makes me feel important is making people's lives better. If I'm 80, 90 years old. I hope I get that old. And I've got a fancy house and a fancy car, but I haven't made people's lives better. I would consider myself a failure. What am I taking beyond me, beyond this life, right? I want my legacy to be one where I have maximized my ability to make people happy. That makes me feel like a meaningful person. And there's a bunch of things I could do with that ethic, right? I could work for a nonprofit, or do all, some of the stuff that you're doing with organizing. But I think that 4 years ago, I was complaining a lot about politicians, looking at the bipartisanship in Washington, and even looking at some of the stuff that was going on in New Haven. And there's a lot of people that complain about it, and I figured, I could complain, or I could try to be part of the solution. And so I decided to throw my hat in the ring for alderman. I want to be someone that brings integrity to city government and works as hard as I can to improve people's lives, and that's what drives me.
And now you're currently an alderman.
Yep, I represent Cedar Hill, East Rock, and a small part of Fairhaven, including Quinnipiac Terrace and Rector Square.
Now with your aldermanship, that experience behind you, what do you see? What have you seen as an alderman in the city of New Haven working with DeStefano? Is it good or is it bad?
I think it's both.
I think it's both.
I think it's both. DeStefano has been a very strong mayor, and in both the good and bad sense. He's gotten a lot done for the city. He's helped improve the core of the city and focused a lot on development and investment downtown. And that's really important for any healthy city, right? To have that core that is the center of economic activity. But as I talk with people around the city, it's clear that people in the neighborhoods feel forgotten. And that's everywhere from Newhallville, Dixwell, to the East Shore, and Westville. People want to make sure that their neighborhoods are not forgotten. And that includes ensuring some development along and investment from the city along the economic corridors like Dixwell Ave, Grand Ave, Whaley Ave, because that can start to share some of that prosperity that we see downtown with the neighborhoods. It also includes focusing on a lot of the little things like urban blight and making sure that we crack down on landlords that are either abusing their own tenants or abusing their street because they're the only house on the street that is dilapidated when you've got a lot of nice people that are taking care of their properties. And that really has a negative impact on the street. So I think DeStefano's been good at focusing on downtown, but I think that we need to do more with that. And I would say that one other major difference between what I would do and what DeStefano did is about attitude and approach. I'm someone that wants to involve the community more in the conversations that we have in the city, and that's everything from listening to them about people. I know a lot of folks who are concerned about the dirt bike issue, and I responded to that. Dirt bikes going crazy through the neighborhood. But it's also like major development agreements, right? The community oftentimes feels like these big buildings are forced on their neighborhoods. It's not just here. You see it in the Hill as well with the hospital's development. And we need to have a lot of community input before we come up with some backroom deal and then surprise everyone with it. And if we do that, we're going to develop more trust in government in general, and then I think it's more likely that we get stuff done. It takes a little bit more time to engage people, but I think in the end, it actually makes things more efficient.
Yes. Another philosophy of mine is that we feel, I'm speaking for my neighborhood, New Haven in a whole, we feel that you can't incarcerate or overpopulate the city with police, right? We know having the law in the city is a good thing, what's going on currently in our city, but we feel like there should be more initiatives for the youth, to find a way to stop the crime before the crime happens. With the city adding on more police, to take care of the crime, what do you see? What do you see as a solution to the crime within the city, besides more police or just that ideology of police being out here? We feel the police are out here, but sometimes they don't. You got the beat walkers now, but sometimes they don't engage. Sometimes Where do you see developing that relationship between the community and the police?
A couple of things. First, with community policing, and then actually addressing the roots of the problem, because policing is addressing a problem after it's become a problem. And so what you touched on with youth programs, and I would add jobs to that list, are ways to start to address the roots of the problem.